class 7th. Here is Kaushalya Raj Purohit, your social science teacher, and today we are going to discuss chapter 4, Major Landforms. Landforms. The various landforms on the Earth's surface are formed by various endogenic forces, the forces which are exerted from inside the Earth. But however, the exogenic forces, that is the exterior forces, tend to reduce the elevation of the existing landforms. Okay, so in this chapter, we are going to see the different reasons or different factors which are responsible for the various landform on this earth. The exogenic forces carry out their work in two ways, weathering and erosion. So what is weathering? Weathering involves disintegration and decomposition of rocks. A number of factors and agents such as heat, cold, frost action, plants, animals and chemical reaction help in weathering. This process does not involve the movement of the broken rock material. You can see here the rock will crack first, then the water enters, freezes and expands the cracks. The crack deepens and more water enters and freezes. Repeated freeze and thaw breaks up the rock along the joint lines, right? So this process is called weathering. Erosion. It is the process by which the broken rock materials are removed from its place of its origin and deposited elsewhere. The main agent of erosion are running water, river, sea waves, moving ice, that is glaciers, and wind. First of all, we will be looking at the work of river or the factor river, how it is responsible for various landforms. When it rains, some water seeps underground, some of it evaporates, and the rest forms small streams. The place where the river originates is called the source, and the place where the river joins another water body is called the mouth. And the area drained by the river and its tributaries is called the river basin. The running water in the rivers carry out its work in three ways, right? So how it works? First, it erodes the rocks over which it flows. Second, it transports the eroded materials. And third, it deposits the material which it has transported, right? So this is how river works in the formation of various landforms. Now the first way, or you can say the yacht way, in this the river cuts down and deepens its valley. And then due to the continuous flow of the water, the river widens its valley and it deepens it. Again, the river continues to widen its valley. The erosional work of the river results in the widening and deepening of the river valley, and such valley is called V-shaped valley. Due to the continuous flow of the river, which is very swift, there is more erosion and transportation of the sediments and practically no deposition. When the water of the river falls almost vertically down a steep valley side, a waterfall is formed. They are also important because they are used in generation of hydroelectricity, and the steep sloping segments of swift flowing river is called the rapid. Waterfalls such as Jog Falls is the highest waterfall in India, and Salto Angel Falls in Venezuela is the highest waterfall in the world. When the river leaves the mountains and enters the plain, the flow is no longer swift. The floor of the river valley widens due to the continuous erosion along its bank, and the river twists and turns to form large bands and loops, as you can see in the figure, right? And these loops are called meanders. Now the river erodes, transports and deposits the sediments, right? As we have seen in the mountainous region, there is no deposition of the sediments, but now when it is in the plain surface, it also deposits the sediments. Due to the continuous erosion and deposition, the meandering groups become almost circular and comes very close to each other, and sometimes the circular loop that is left behind due to the river when the river cuts the strip of the land between the loops, and there is you can say there is a circular loop which is left behind, and it is called oxbow lake. Right, as you can see here, the circular lake has been left behind and the river has taken a new path, right? So this one is oxbow lake. During the floods, the river generally overflows its banks, and the fine annual soil brought by the river is deposited on the valley floor, and this is called the floodplain. In the floodplain, the coarse materials are deposited along the banks of the river, as you can see in the figure. Thus, long ridges of low height are formed along the banks. Can you see the long ridges which are formed along the banks of the river? These are called natural leve, right? You can see here I have provided you the figure. These are called natural leve. And when the river reaches its mouth, that is you can say it adds with another river, it carries a large volume of water and alluvium, right? And the excess load is deposited at the sandbars, as you can see here in this figure, right? This divides the main channel into several channels which are called distributaries. Now another important landform made by river is delta. A delta is a large flat area of land where a river flows into an ocean or a sea. In this stage, the triangular shaped land is formed between the distributaries due to the deposition of the sediment, right? And this is delta. The delta formed by the Ganga and the Brahmaputra river is the largest in this world. Right? So these are the different landforms which are formed due to the river, right? We will be continuing this chapter in our next video. Thank you.